for NVDA and any stock, if you're not, since we're not, we're not day trading or not like short-term swing trading, we're kind of looking at like, but this is like we're buying the call for like, I think what is it, like November, but we'd love to sell this this week or even next week or the next week after that, right? So we're basically just giving ourselves a long expiration because we're not day trading and we're looking, we kind of, the general trend is showing us that it's going to continue going higher.
Yep.
And so we're looking at about the 2 years here. It was definitely consolidating pretty flat, kind of dipping for this while ago. But now if we just check out the last 9 months, and you got percentages over here because I'm just comparing it with the S&P. And it's outperforming the S&P. That's a good sign. That's positive. And we just have, I don't know what these lines are here, but they definitely, okay. So those kind of are like price channels. I think it just did that automatically though, but I'm gonna get rid of them. So the blue line is our 200-day moving average, yellow 50-day moving average. Those are looking really good, far above those. So those can be seen as resistance lines here, but actually if we're looking over here, and I'm just gonna use a circle really quick, you can see down here that it's actually coming closer to the 50-day. It peaked here and it's dipping and it tried to fight, and that's the resistance. We can tell right there. We're going to move in closer.
Yeah, a little bit of a downtrend
right here. Yeah, so it's a short-term kind of like dip. I mean, if you're looking at like a shorter term, like a 5-day graph, it's definitely going to have like a negative looking linear regression line, which is what this line is. It's just a trend line. It's a linear regression line. So let's move to 6 months. And I'm also going to go to the S&P 500 there so we can see the numbers. And so if we're looking at like this 10-day moving average here, you can kind of tell at different times. I'm going to move to the 3 month. It kind of dips below it sometimes,
Yep.
Those are decent buying opportunities. So right here, you can see it dips below and it kind of fights through there a couple times. So let's go to the 10-day to get some other lines. So we've got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Ignore the orange dots for now. Okay, and there's some lines here that I just want to, I'm gonna get rid of these lines. Okay. So the yellow line is the 6-day moving average and the blue line is the 15-day. These black lines are Bollinger Bands, and basically those are like, it's like the standard deviation of price movement. It's basically just like price channels. It's not price channels, but it's basically like, okay, this is kind of where the stock is going to be contained. So just to look at this in the last 10 days, we can see here how, so the stock kind of is shooting up, coming down, and it's kind of, then, your price channels are going to be in between those standard deviations, right? And it jumps here, it gaps up really high, thus creating the Bollinger Bands to really spread out. But you see in here, we have consolidation. And so you can see how after it consolidates, the bands get quite narrow. And basically that gives an opportunity for the stock to kind of break out. You have periods of consolidation and you have periods, and then you have gap ups or gap downs. But it does seem to be following kind of a general negative trend over the last few days, which is good for long-term buyers or mid-term buyers, okay? And you can see
so it's a good entry point we're in right now.
I mean, the best entry point would have been back here, but we're actually seeing this this day. If I go to like 3 days, it might not show up in the same kind of, that's not, I don't like that graph. 10 minutes, hourly. There we go. You can kind of see how it's testing that price channel right there, actually. So that could be a bullish indication. And again, we already looked at like the 6 month and the year, and it's a positive trend. So I mean, and think of this. Okay, this is only 10 days. This isn't like months, right? So the movement here is a lot, and this actually, NVIDIA is a big company and they can do some big moves. You know, $13 in one day, that's a pretty big move for a call option, right? So we're only buying the November 20th ones because, or is it might be the October 30th, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's October.
October 30th. Okay. So we're doing that because we're banking on the fact that we've got like, it's like a little over a month. Usually with those shorter calls, you want to close them out before 50% of the expiration's done. So we're probably going to want to close it out before like October 10th or something like that. Because after that point, it really starts to time decay affects it. But you know, if we see, I could totally see here, and this is without any like Fibonacci retracements, which I'll show you in a second. We can see that there's like resistance up here, just because that's where it was testing in the last 10 days. And there's, you know, some support right around here below us. So it's kind of in this range, right? So we could, you know, it's coming back and forth. You know, we may see a down day tomorrow in NVIDIA, but we may not. It may just it may go up and test this line again, you know? So for the term that we have, I think it's pretty decent idea, you know, and it actually right here. Okay, just today around lunch, it broke above this 15-day and the 60 average, right? So it's actually above those now, which is a bullish indication. I'm going to scroll down here a bit to look at some of these other RSI indicators, but we're going to come back out to like a 3-month trend actually. Let's do the months because ours is about a month out. Okay, so we're actually reaching overbought soon, which usually it's not always a perfect indication, but when the stock reaches an overbought signal for an RSI, we can actually make this a more stable RSI. Overbought just means that it's one more indication of a reversal for a downtrend. So it means overbought, the price is being pumped up. Like if we see back here, back
a little bit overvalued.
Yeah, over not necessarily overvalued, but I guess overweighted. You know, so much buying happens. It doesn't justify like the price or whatever. This always happens. You know, you have overbought, oversold, and it's going to climb back up. You know, volume's pretty flat, and the MACD. Okay, that's important. We're going to look at the MACD. So when the blue line is on top of the yellow, that is a bullish indication, and we want to see green volume. Okay, so we just saw a period of consolidation here. This is between like the last week or so. Okay, and we see the blue line cross over the yellow right around here. Obviously, that would have been a good day to buy, but you know, you can't really time those things the best all the time. I also wasn't looking for this, so I didn't notice it. But and see, if you go to a shorter chart, it's going to show you like a different looking indicators, oscillators. You know, before, you know, this is like a day's difference or maybe a couple of hours difference. For the month-long chart, if I was to move my mouse this much, that would be days difference, and here it's just hourly differences. Okay, so someone is going to be using the MACD on a 10-day chart. I won't be really, because we're kind of trying to get longer expiration calls, but it is bullish. We do see the blue line crossing above the yellow line here, and the volume is building.
Yep.
Okay, so that is a good indication. So, you know, the best thing that would happen is that NVIDIA climbs up, you know, maybe climbs to 510 and we sell it. Yep. I would even think about selling it tomorrow if we were able to get 40% on the call option, which is possible. You know, if the stock jumps 3 or 4%, then you're going to see, you know, maybe a 40% gain. You could sell it then. Probably won't do it, you know, tomorrow, but won't sell it tomorrow, close it tomorrow, but if that would be a good sign.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm just going to show you a really simple way to look at like support and resistance line is using, I'm going to get rid of this and I'm going to get rid of these, is using a Fibonacci retracement, which is just showing you support and resistance levels. Okay, so usually you start from a peak, you pick a peak, and you can do this for any range of time. I'm going to pick this peak, and we're going to pull it down to about where we found support. Okay, and then I'm going to draw some lines here at these different sectors. We've got 62%, 50%, 38, 23, right? So that's our different support lines or resistance lines depending on where the stock is. So for this month time frame, you know, I pick this peak, not this one. Usually you might pick this one because you'd pick this one and go to here, but I'm picking this one because see how the price is below?
Yeah.
It's below this support, so it wouldn't really help us for us
A little bit more accurate.
Yeah, it's going to be more accurate. It's a bit more narrow, so it actually is going to give us a more sensitive kind of indication of where the stock is going. But I'm going to draw some lines and then get rid of that Fibonacci there. So we're going to draw a line here at the 23, and draw a line around the 30. Okay. I'm just picking bad lines here. There we go. I'm trying to get close to it. And I'm going to draw one at the 50. Okay. And then we're going to move in closer. Okay. 10-day trend. Let's see if we... Okay, you can kind of see these lines. They're a bit pale. They just choose the color for you. But you know, if I get rid of that line, we'll be able to see it better. Okay. And actually, it's breaking above that resistance line right then. Okay, so that's a good indication. It dropped down to the support levels, broke up above the 23, broke up again above the 50. You know, we may see a reversal tomorrow, which could be a better buying day than what I did this afternoon. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we've got time for it to keep going up.
Question for you. If we go down to that MACD chart again.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if we could stretch that out. This is just a couple of days here, yeah?
Yeah, would you want to stretch it out to
I would like to see like just like a month. Might be a little bit too much, but I'm just curious.
Let's check out the hourly on a month. Okay. Yeah, so this is what I was looking at earlier, and we do see a good crossover there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking like some, you know, some gains to be had in the next couple of days for sure. Just looking at the trend in the last month.
And I mean, we can look at like, you know, finer, smaller details, but if we're just looking at this month trend, you know, this is quite flat here. Actually, the, you know, if we're going to cut it off right about here, you know, like if we look at after this peak, it's going to be, the linear regression is going to show us quite flat trend line, right? So it's a consolidation period, and during consolidation periods, you know, you're not going to see the kind of growth you would see like from how we saw from like March.
Definitely, yeah.
Right. So you see how this is just insane, right? The best call you could have done is to buy a year call.
Right there.
You would have made, you know, over 1,000% gain if you had held it, you know, for a little time. That was incredible. And you can see here, this is really flat, really consolidating.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the month here. And the thing about the consolidation period is that if you just find out where the support and resistance levels are, you can kind of invest, you know, at the dips and the peaks, right? Mm-hmm. So we saw the stock come down here and come up, and we saw it come back down right here. Okay, so knowing that, you could have said, okay, this is kind of like a resistance line.
Yeah, a little bit of resistance.
Yeah. Now we have a much better idea of where the resistance line is. It's around 520. And actually, you can see a couple times we're breaking above.
I think it's on track to test that resistance.
So you see this, it is testing it. So we could keep seeing the price testing this kind of trend here. You know, we could see it jump above these levels. Actually, I mean, I really do think that it could jump above those levels. But we saw support right down here. The first time it came to the bottom, support. This is a strong line, this 480. Okay.
Yeah.
We hit that, you know, this morning. Okay. It opened there. It looks like it opened lower. Okay. It opened lower. But
yeah,
then
just barely, right?
it started climbing. Right. And that's a solid indication of high quality support, you know. And so I have, you know, looking at all these lines here in the moving averages, I have faith that we could at least see NVIDIA climb to 520, if not further. It may take a longer period of time, you know, it may take a couple of weeks for it to get up here. But if we see NVIDIA climb to 520 in the next, you know, this week, which it definitely can, it could do that in a day, it could do that in 2 days. You know, you could either take your profits, or you could just see how long you could ride it up and then put a stop loss or a limit to sell if it drops below this, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And so we've got time, is what I'm saying.
And expiration, we're looking at October 30th.
I think the 30th.
So curiosity for you, or a question for you, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's say I wanted to stretch this a little bit and I wanted to do like November 20th. Would I get a better price?
No, it's going to be more expensive. So, you know, the time value is going to be built into that.
There's more time, right?
Yeah. That's why day traders, you know, use options, because it's so cheap. And
yeah,
we're buying this really out of the money, just so that deep out of the money, because we just don't want to spend as much up front.
Yeah.
And it's still gonna go up in price, you know, as NVIDIA goes up in price. So we were at like what is it? It was 460.
The strike price is 460.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And then call. Let's see what it's giving you. Okay. Buy to open, last price, NVIDIA. Oh, I mean 640. I was like, oh wait, 47
I know. I was like, that
bucks.
Doesn't look
Damn.
right. 390. Cool.
Okay, yeah, it's at 390. It looks like it came back up. For a secondary, it was like down at where the bid price was right now. Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, pretty much any strike around this area, like you don't actually have to just do 640. You could choose 650 or 660 or a lower one, 630. You know, the higher you choose, technically it is a better chance that you're gonna be left with no profits, just because there's less time values on it, you know, less extrinsic value. But, you know, as long as we close this out in about, you know, 14 to 20 days, you're not going to be seeing the kind, you know, about 10 to 14 days actually. Time decay isn't going to affect us as long as NVIDIA climbs up just a little bit, you know.
Cool. And then we're going to do a limit on this, yeah?
Yeah. You could enter 3.85. You may not get it right away, or you could just go with 3.9. You'll probably get it right away.
Tomorrow, let's say stock jumps a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on if it gaps up or gaps down.
Is it going to be a little bit more expensive?
Yeah, so if it jumps up a bit, it may shoot up to like somewhere in the 4s. And at that point, you know, you could still buy in, but I would probably say that there's a good likelihood that within the next day or two, you could see the price jump and then come back down, you know.
Yeah.
With the kind of day trading volatility you see, I would put it in for 3.9 or 3.85, whatever you'd like to seek. You know, obviously, if you're going for something like 3.5 or 3.2, you may just not get it. But, you know, If you did, then that would be good. But yeah, I mean 3.9 is probably your best likelihood. You'll probably end up getting it. I think someone's definitely going to be wanting to sell this to you.
All right. So here we are.
And so if we're looking down there, it says estimated break even 643. Technically, that's true if you wait to close this out until expiration. But as we've already discussed, we want to close this out this week, possibly even next week.
Mm-hmm.
So that I would ignore that. I was looking at the theta decay. I think it's about negative 20 cents. So that's kind of like, I'm not going to explain it all the way, but basically you're going to see about that much decay every day until expiration. Okay. And so that's why we want to close out earlier than later, because just even if the price stayed at the same level, it's our option's going to slowly lose value over time just because we're losing time value.
Definitely, yeah.
So definitely
What's
trying to close this
our
up by next week.
estimated kind of gain from this trade?
If the stock jumps 3% tomorrow, like it just did today, almost you could end up, I don't know the actual numbers at the moment, but it's probably going to be something like maybe 40 to 60% if it jumps like that.
Awesome.
Now, if you chose like a longer expiration and a jump like that, you're going to see less action, but more stability. Okay, so if you chose the November or the December, you would see less movement in your options value, but you would have a little more protection to the downside.
All right. So here we are. Everything looking good?
Yeah, it looks good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's always good to check to make sure you've entered in a buy to open and not like a close to open or something. It's not usually a big deal, but it's always it's always good to double check. And everything looks pretty good, so yeah.
All right. First options trade.
Sweet. Okay.
Awesome. So next question, obviously, how do I close this out, right? When it comes time to, kind of get out of this, right, and canceling this order.
So two ways to do that.
What's the process?
So two ways, if you're in like in a more typical like broker like Merrill or Schwab or like E-Trade or TD Ameritrade or something, or Thinkorswim or whatever, you go to your account and it's going to be in your account portfolio, and you could usually just close it out from there. That's probably the fastest way. Otherwise, you could just go to the trade desk and you could just search for the exact same option. And instead of buying to open, you would sell to close.
Oh, interesting.
And even if you went to your account portfolio, you found it there, it would take you to the same trade desk here, and then you would sell to close, right? So when you're buying calls, you buy to open, and then when you want to close it out, just selling to close, right? Basically, that's how transaction works. There's always a buyer and a seller, theoretically. So, you are the buyer, and then you have to become the seller.
Awesome.